we are in Social Studies, Chapter 4, Lesson 3, Citizens Create Change. So, how can citizens create change? What do you think? How can citizens change our world? We're going to look at the word veteran, equal, and there might be some other words that are new to you. Carlos wondered why United States citizens have rights that people in some other countries do not have. Carlos's classmates told him about the contributions of special people who worked hard for the rights of the United States citizens. Lily taught Carlos about George Washington. George Washington, first president. George Washington led America in the War for Independence. He became the first president of the United States. George Washington is remembered as a great leader and an important veteran. A veteran is a person who has been in the military. So why were George Washington's contributions important? Why? What do you think? What do you think? Why were his contributions important? On page 109, Emilio told Carlos about Sitting Bull. Sitting Bull was a Lakota Native American chief. He lived at a time when many Native Americans were forced away from their land to make room for the immigrants. Sitting Bull knew this was not fair. He fought to keep Native Americans from losing their land. Sitting Bull was a brave leader. Why were Sitting Bull's contributions important? Did you know a quarter is a primary source? Because quarters have the pictures of the first president, George Washington, on them. Your question at the bottom. Here's our author's purpose showing up again. When you read, it is a good idea to think about what the author wants to answer, explain, or describe. What is the purpose of this paragraph? So what's the purpose? Why is Emilio telling Carlos about this? What's the purpose? Write your answer at the bottom of page 109. So those are two men that influenced the United States. Let's talk about some women. Here's Susan B. Anthony. Natalie told him about Susan B. Anthony. Years ago, women in our country did not have equal rights. They were not allowed to vote. Susan B. Anthony knew this was not fair, so she talked to lawmakers. She led marches and gave speeches. Susan worked hard for a new law that allowed women to vote. So why were her contributions important? Well, I'll give you this one because now women have the right to vote. That's why her contributions were important. Now, the next lady we're going to talk about here, she was an African American teacher. Okay? That in itself is important because African Americans were not treated equally themselves. But she was a teacher. And so Cole told Carlos about Mary McLeod Bethune. She was an African American teacher, and when Mary was growing up, many African American girls did not have the chance to go to school. Mary believed that everyone should have the right to get an education. She started a school for African American girls in Daytona, Florida. Mary was a leader in the fight for education and equal rights. So Mary got things going so that African American girls could actually go to school. Okay? I have a picture here. Let me see if I can find it. That's not the picture. There it is. That is a picture of her when she was younger. All right. And there's a picture there with her students. Lots of young ladies. Notice they're dressed the same. I'm going to guess that these girls here were a certain age, and then the rest of them were all different ages depending on what they were wearing. That would be my guess. I'm sure she taught multiple grades in one room. Okay. So now let's go to page 112. Sean's going to tell Carlos about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. believed that everyone should be treated the same. He made speeches and led peaceful marches to help change unfair laws. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. led the fight for equal rights of America. So, he wanted to make sure everyone was able to do the same things. Okay, African American men and women were not able to do the same things that white people were. And so he fought to change that. Down in the lower corner there on page 112, you have Miss Rosa Parks. So Lynn's going to tell Carlos about Rosa Parks. Many years ago, many states had unfair laws. One law was that African Americans had to give up their seat to white people on crowded buses. Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat. Police took her to jail. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. helped Rosa. He asked people to stop riding the buses, and people listened. Finally, the law was changed. So, why was her contribution important? She was standing up for something she believed in. She had the freedom of speech. She chose to do those things. Then we have Cesar Chavez. He was a famous Hispanic leader, and he worked to make a better life for farm workers. Law said that farm workers did not have to be treated the same as other workers. They could work long hours and be paid very little money. Well, Cesar Chavez gave speeches and led marches to change these laws. His actions helped farm workers to have more rights. So what is his contribution? His actions helped farm workers to have more rights. There is his contribution. That's why it's important. Now, with a grown-up's help, you can look up the name of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech on August 28, 1963. And you can also look up Susan B. Anthony and other women in the United States for when they got the right to vote. So those are two things you can do with the help of a grown-up. You cannot look these up on the internet without grown-ups' help, okay? And then down here, how can citizens create change? You write in your answer there. How do they create change? Think about some of the people that have created change that we just read about. I will also have some links of brain pop videos and things like that of some of the people that we just talked about. So feel free to listen to those as well. You will have another video on your worksheets, and I will explain what to do on those in that video.